It's a people, it's a community, it's a life, it's a heart, it's a spirit.
Parents of gay children say, I want my son, my gay son, to have the same opportunity to come to me and say, hey, Dad, I'm getting married, as my non-gay son or my non-gay daughter.
The heck would you want a picture of a tattoo of $1,000 on your penis for?
You might just need to satisfy yourself sexually alone at that point.
Do I regret it? Not one bit. Did I think that I would actually take it the next step and do it again?
And what goes into their life, how they handle it. There are 12 houses, and each one of those houses has a particular function.
Look into yourself, think about it, and just be whoever it is that speaks to you.
Hello and welcome to Talking About. I'm your host, Jon Griffith, and tonight we have an action-packed epic show with, my guest tonight is author Rob Byrnes. Welcome.
Thank you. It's quite something I have to live up to now.
So, well, your current book is Straight Lies.
Yes, out in about a week in bookstores everywhere.
So that's, well, we're shooting March of '09.
Right.
The internet is forever, so so it will be
That's
out
exactly.
and available for a good long time.
We're hoping.
So, okay, and so, well, what made you pursue writing as a career?
I think if it's in you, you pursue it. I mean, that's a pretty vague answer, but you know, it's for almost all of us, it's not financially rewarding, it's personally rewarding. It's like anyone else pursues a creative outlet. It just happened to be something that I felt I had a talent for, and some people at least agree. So, you know, I lucked out. I got a first book published back in 2002, and I just kept going.
Okay, well, the inspiration for that first book?
The inspiration for the first book, I have to explain first, the book is not autobiographical because people, even my own stepmother had that question. It's about a gay writer who dresses in drag one night, goes to a club in the village and falls in love with the son of a mafia boss. That stuff really didn't happen to me, well, at least as far as, you know, we want your audience to know. But it was actually, I think the original idea came, without sounding too pretentious, the original idea came from a Romeo and Juliet type of concept of different families, in this case a family of choice, the gay family of choice versus the mafia family. And I started writing along that vein originally, and then I realized it was far too pretentious for what I was putting on paper. I was writing a light gay romantic comedy, so I kind of threw out all the pretentiousness and just wrote the story that was developing quite nicely.
Okay. And the title of that book is?
That was The Night We Met, okay. 2002. Still in print.
That's well, that's always an accomplishment. I mean, there's such a wealth of material available for readers these days in so many different outlets that, yeah, and any sort of staying power is great, and you've obviously got that. And Straight Lies.
Straight Lies. The Straight Lies, first of all, is about it's a comic crime caper that's about a group of gay and lesbian criminals who discover that one of the leading gay celebrities in the world is really straight, and they decide to go ahead and try to blackmail him. They're not a very good criminal gang. They're learning as they go along. So I think I kind of, you know, the area of crime caper is obviously a well-known genre, but it is not something that, as a general rule, has been has been a gay area of fiction, certainly. And I like the idea of almost it's the opposite of outing. You know, whereas it would be understandable if a closeted celebrity was trying to hide his homosexuality and he was being blackmailed. This is a guy that got in on the gay thing way ahead of McKellen. And but in his case, he you know, he's really straight, and it was fun to do the role reversal.
Yeah, I mean, I've read the entire book, you know, cover to cover. Actually, I went through it really quickly. It was just such. Once I got into the pages, you know, the window in the page opened up, and I was through it, finished with the book before I knew it, and so that says a lot about how I felt about the book as well.
It's good. I like people that read beyond page 10, and put it away, and tell me they read it.
So, yeah, and it's the first book of yours that I've read, and you know, I was reading it, and you know, I laughed a little bit, and I said, I hope this is supposed to be funny.
It's supposed to be, yes, it's supposed to be funny.
And you know, by the next couple of pages, I got where it was going, and I had a really good read.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm hoping that your audience feels the same way.
Most of my audience is smart enough to read.
Good for them.
But and actually, I do want to invite the audience. If you do have a question for Rob, our phone number is 718-460-9802. Be glad to take your call. But in developing the story, obviously, well, I hope you're not a criminal.
I do that, but I do write the stuff pretty well, don't I?
Exactly.
No, you know what? A writer who I absolutely admire and never met, Donald E. Westlake, who passed away on New Year's Eve. He was, I think I bought the first paperback of a Westlake book that I'd ever read back over 30 years ago. I started following. He wrote scores of books over his career, but he had a very popular series of crime capers. Did not involve homosexuality, but he had a very successful series. Some of the books you might remember, or at least remember the movies that came out of him, like The Hot Rock, some Martin Lawrence movie that's name is escaping me, but there were a number of them. Anyway, I just enjoyed those books so much that I wanted to do my own. I don't put myself in the same category as him, but I wanted to do my own version of that kind of crime caper. You know, I learned probably a lot about how, you know, these criminals think from reading his books. I don't think he was a criminal either, but you know, at a certain basic point, it's all about trying to outmaneuver and outsmart the person you're trying to scam. And you know, that was all. I had to put myself in both heads: the criminal head and then the victim head, who was, you know, who could outthink the other side. My guys are, admittedly, my criminals are less intelligent, I think, than the people they're trying to scam, but they have the street smarts that makes up for it.
Okay, I mean, where within yourself do you find these voices?
It depends. A lot of these people I know. I don't know them as criminals, but I know them. I know the type of people that, you know, it isn't inconceivable. Say the lesbian realtor who likes to commit crimes on the side. You know, I know somebody that I could think of as the model for that person. Okay. A lot of the other people, I definitely, you know, and especially the actor, there's a gossip column editor in there, and I really know those people in real. They're kind of equivalent in real life, so it was easy in a sense to, you know, characters are exaggerated. I like to think I don't know anybody that's quite as heinous as anybody in that book. You know, you start with the germ of the truth. There was one book I did, my second book, Trust Fund Boys, which was about a couple of younger guys that were starting to get a little older, and they were on the make. They were too old to be kept boys, but they were too young to. They were also getting too old to make it on their own. So they were trying their last little shot to be. They weren't hustlers. They were trying to be, but they were trying to rise to a different station. Okay. And those people actually, that was probably the closest to autobiographical. Not that I actually did that, but I knew a lot of people around the time I conceived of the book that were doing that. They were pretending to have money so they could fit in better with a moneyed crowd, and therefore benefited by being with the moneyed crowd who would take them to restaurants. Right. And you know, so that was probably the closest to reality. That was also the book that people, you know, I got more trashed on by Publishers Weekly and stuff than. You know, I mean, my third book was about, you know, a 70-year-old Hollywood actor that comes out of the closet. Even though I'm starting to approach that age, I'm not, you know.
Well, if that's true, it doesn't show.
Well, thank you. At a certain point, you know, it's all about the imagination. You just, you can base various characters on germs of truth and voices you hear from people you know, but a lot of it has just got to be where your imagination takes you.
Mm. No, because I mean, we have a lot of different creative people on the show, and I always find it fascinating to learn about the individual's creative process, because with everybody, I mean, there may be elements of the same thing within it, but everybody has their own process, and it comes from a different place, and it just evolves differently. And I always find that fascinating.
Another thing I find is great inspiration. After I sign the contract on a couple of days, you know, a couple-page proposal, and they pay me part of my advance, and they give me a deadline, and I have spent the advance money, so I really need to write a book by that deadline. So that's also great creative inspiration.
Yes. And also, you've done some short stories, and you've contributed to anthologies as well?
Yeah. Well, the first published writing I ever did, which was published, it was a vanity publication, but it was done with very professional writers. It was called Strange Bedfellows. It came out in 2000. And it was written as an outgrowth of a group I used to belong. CompuServe is pretty much dead as a home for online forums and an online community. But back then it was still going pretty strong. And there was a very active CompuServe writers community. And so they wanted to write this, since 2000 presidential elections, they said, let's write erotica with a political theme. And since I had a background in politics and was a struggling writer, struggling and unpublished writer, they recruited me to write one of the stories. Now, I don't write erotica. You buy this book, you buy any of my other 3 novels. There's a short story in this book we'll talk about in a second.
Right after we take the caller, we do have a call on the line. Caller, welcome. Say hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, this is Mark from Jamaica, Queens.
Hi, Mark. Do you have a question for Rob?
Yes, I enjoyed the show very much, by the way. I would just like to ask, I'm always interested in asking the creative type people, be it literature or whatever field they are into, what type of music do you find yourself inspired by or listen to? And especially of the modern music that's out today, what artists do you find to be inspiring or that you find yourself gravitating towards in your own personal life?
Mark, you're going to think you really are going to think I'm 72 or whatever. I really don't listen to a lot of music, period. And more contemporary stuff I don't listen to at all. I mean, I'll put Sinatra on. I will put Gershwin collections on, things like that. God, I am old, right? I don't know, you know, and it's kind of funny because I grew up in a very musical family. My father sold pianos for a living. My mother studied at the Eastman School in Rochester, and I just didn't get the music gene. I know, bad homosexual, right? But
well, you got the writing gene. So, that answer your question, Mark?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting answer. Yes, I just thought maybe that you might, you know, have a few artists of today that would have caught your fancy, you know.
Yeah, you know, I will tell you, there is one artist who I actually do know. Music came first. I encountered him later. He actually is right here in New York. His name's Michael Holland. He performs around a lot, and I like his CDs, but you know, and unfortunately, it's crime. But he should be rich and famous, but he's not. But you know, that won't mean anything to a lot of people. Go out and, you know, he's on. You can find his stuff online too. But no, you know, it's really the classics that I hear in my head.
So, and well, does music factor into inspiration for you at all? And you said you don't listen to a lot, but I mean, is there something that plays in the background while you're working creatively?
Not really, no. In fact, I tend to like a quieter working environment. Some of my friends write and they blast music, and everybody's got their own thing. I kind of need some ambient music in the apartment somewhere, but very, you know, or ambient noise, which usually is provided by my boyfriend. But you know, I turn the TV on in the other room, so there's something going on, and then I go to the office and work. And now I don't know. That's probably sounds really dull and workmanlike, doesn't it?
But it obviously works.
It works. Yeah, it works. Oh, well, let me, before I forget, just so I didn't leave everyone hanging on erotica. I don't write erotica, but I wrote that one story, which is why I don't really publicize it a whole lot, because it is erotica and it makes me, you know, it was not a bad story, but it makes me feel icky talking about it. When people read it and they like it, and then they think they're imagining me in that scene. And, no.
But,
next book, yes,
yeah.
This is the next, that's right, the next short story. Fool for Love's an anthology that has been put together by Timothy James Lambert and Becky Cochran, who readers that are watching may know as one half of the Timothy James Beck writing team. Timothy James Beck's another, well, it's a group, a collaborative effort, but it's another gay author, group of gay authors, whatever, who write, again, contemporary gay humorous fiction. Anyway, they put this anthology together with some just fantastic, I can't believe I'm in the company of some of these people. Andrew Holleran, Trevor Healy, Paul Lysicki, Rob Williams, Felice Picano. I mean, it's really some A-list people. And then also, though, what makes this really special is there's a group of people in there included in the anthology that have never been published before. Jeffrey Ricker, Nathan Burgoyne, Mark G. Harris. If they've been published, it's only been one story here or there. And it's called New Gay Fiction, and indeed, every piece is new. And indeed, some of these writers are very new, and they're going to be the next wave, I think, you see out there in contemporary gay fiction.
All right. Well, in the last couple of minutes, what's next for you?
Hopefully a sequel to this.
Okay. Yeah, actually...
Straight Lies?
I thought about it actually, Straight Lies, I thought about it very cinematically and very... it would make a good television series. So maybe if anyone from Logo or Here Networks is watching,
exactly.
Check out the book, and I think it would make
listen to the man.
I think it would make a great series.
I also love it actually these characters would carry over, and they would be a lot of fun. I try to carry it. By the way, my 4 books, characters carry over bits and pieces, story to story. So if you start at the beginning, you'll really get the inside joke. I'd like to do a sequel to this. That'll depend on sales.
Okay.
You got the hint.
Well, where can people find the book?
They can find it in any local bookstore. You can find it at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, at the Kensington Publishing website. You find it. Go to your gay and lesbian bookstores and your independent bookstores.
Yeah, definitely support your independent bookstores.
Absolutely,
I'd love to do that.
Except for the one store that I've got it in for right now. But we'll. You can find anywhere the books are sold. This is not something I'm selling out of the trunk. This is, you know, really there. BYRNES. You can, you know, and go to my website,
which is
robbyrnes.net, and there's a link of booksellers there too.
Okay, spell that out for the audience.
Sure, Rob R-O-B Byrnes BYRNES.net. Although I bought .com and it points back, so you know, just remember the Rob Byrnes part. Or look for me on Facebook, like John did.
Exactly.
And I'm also looking at doing a book set in the 20s. It'll be a crossover book. That's.
Okay, so you've got a lot on your plate.
I got things on my plate.
Got inspiration everywhere.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you so much for sitting with me.
Thank you for having me.
So, and I'm Jon Griffith with Rob Byrnes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
And stay tuned.